You just saw how artificial intelligence can remove unwanted objects. This is called AI cleanup. I don't know if that's an official term, but either way, now it exists. This video isn't about buttons or about what you need to click to get exactly the same result. This video is a presentation. I want to show you what you can do with artificial intelligence, what objects can be removed, which ones can't, and how it looks up close. Yes, I'll zoom in on everything, show you everything, and explain how it works. After all, the goal of cleanup isn't just to remove something from a video. Its goal is to make it so that no one notices your edit in your video. The ultimate goal of cleanup is to restore trust in the scene, to make it so that the object you removed isn't noticeable at all. The goal of cleanup is that once you've done it, you hand the video over to the client and they don't say a word about it. Our task, the task of cleanup that we'll be doing with the help of artificial intelligence, is to save a shot that otherwise can't be saved, simply because it was the only take, or because it's a situation that can't be recreated. And this is truly a huge problem for any video creator anywhere in the world. You know how it goes. Some object gets into the frame, someone walks in front of your shot. Nobody is immune to that. This can happen to anyone, to any creator. In this video, we'll clearly see with the help of artificial intelligence that we either save the shot, saving money, time, and our reputation, or we don't. I suggest you spend a little time with me and quickly figure all this out. One last thing before we dive in. The best effects, whether you create them yourself or with the help of artificial intelligence, are the ones the viewer doesn't notice. They don't realize what it is, that it's an effect. They should just watch the video and enjoy the beautiful shot or the stunning effect without thinking, oh, that's an effect, that's a cleanup, that's something else. We'll reveal the possibilities of artificial intelligence in this video, since my brother and I are digging deep into this topic. We spend a huge amount of time searching for tools for video creators from all over the world. So let's figure it out. Let's start with this shot, okay? Why did I start with a wedding scene? Because weddings happen all over the world, so it's the simplest and most accessible example. We can save this shot, right? Let's say we capture this awesome emotion. The bride is right here, enjoying herself. This would work really well in some kind of clip, like a wedding video, for example. Of course, we'll go through more examples, including movie scenes and a lot more. Please be patient. Can we fix it without losing any details? Without ending up with a generative mess, right? Without getting that pixel mush that generative models often give us, you know? A model that generates video. Let's take a look at this, shall we? This is how it was, this is how it looked. Here, the photographer is blocking the couple quite a bit, but we like the emotion and we want to use it in our video. And here's how it turned out. Let's go full screen. This is how it was for us. And this is how it turned out. Now let's compare. Now let's zoom in, I'll overlay it on top and cut it out, okay? I'll trim it a bit. Let's see what details we're losing. People who study artificial intelligence know very well that when generating some videos or even just certain elements, you lose detail because artificial intelligence completely regenerates your video. It simulates your video, but it's no longer your original video. You lose a huge amount of detail. Let's take a look at this frame, okay? Here we turn it off, turn it on, and we can see the photographer's hand here, right? Now let's very carefully remove it. We turn it on and remove it to see how many details we've lost. We haven't lost any details at all. These are still the same characters. So we can conclude that this frame is suitable for work because, of course, it's nice to watch presentations of different video generators and see the incredible effects they create. But the problem is in the details. When we start trying this out, you've definitely run into this. You start testing it and realize that things are nowhere near as good as they promised or claimed. So let's look at this frame, right, where the photographer is blocking them quite a bit, quite a lot. I straighten the frame a little, okay? Now let's see how many emotions, how much we've lost here. Just take a look, please. Here, right? I'll zoom in even more, like this. The video is full HD quality, so it's not really detailed to begin with. You see what I mean? Still the same character. We're keeping him and preserving the details. All right, shot number 1 is clear, right? I'll delete it completely one more time. We've preserved the details and the shot is saved. So this is a shot that was ruined by the photographer in the foreground. I don't mean to offend photographers right now. Photographers do an incredible job, and most of the time they don't do this. Obviously, the videographer here was just shooting a little behind the scenes, right? But what if we suddenly needed this shot? Photographers, please don't be offended by me. You really are professionals and wonderful people. Usually, everyone works things out with each other. So we've sorted this out. We save the shot and end up with a really good shot that works perfectly. All the greenery is restored, everything is brought back, and the shot looks great. Let's move on. What else do we have that's interesting? So next up is a more commercial shoot, right? Look, here we have 2 people walking through a factory. It's a kind of promotional video for a company. And let's imagine that the client said they don't want these boxes, right? And these machines, he's not allowed to show them because let's say, for example, there's something secret. All right, could something like this happen? Of course it could, right? And he doesn't like this and that here. Can we remove this honestly using cleanup, right? So that it looks believable. Let's take a look. So here's how it was. And here's how it turned out. Now let's zoom in and try a couple of bigger experiments, okay? Like this? I'm deleting this just for you. Let me delete some from the top. And from the bottom. We've managed to get rid of things beautifully and replace them with some neutral elements. See, here there are wooden pallets, and here it's just some kind of metal beam, right? We're completely preserving the logic and authenticity of the shot. We're not changing it. This is our shot, just refined. All of this was done with the help of artificial intelligence. I have exactly 0 skills in CGI modeling, in modeling or creating effects. I don't know how to do that. Right? Let's see it in motion. Play. Emicho. Everything's great. Our shot moves smoothly, nothing breaks, right? This shot is honest, this shot is truthful. This is a working tool, you see? So in corporate filming, in shooting some kind of promotional videos, look, step 1. We clearly understand that this works for weddings, right? For removing some unnecessary elements in a wedding video, this is needed. For creating some advertising videos for companies, yes, maybe different kinds of videos. This works for that too. Fits perfectly, it works. Anything can happen. It's impossible to account for everything when shooting videos because especially when we're filming, that kind of semi-documentary style, right? If that's what we're doing, it's just impossible to cover it all. Very often, we only notice some elements, unnecessary objects, during editing and realize it's a disaster. And even during editing, we might realize, okay, it's not a big deal, and we send it off to the client. But then the client tells us that these machines can't be shown. And these boxes, they're considered a mess. Clients can be very different. Of course, you might say, listen, what could I have done? What was I supposed to do? I just filmed what was there. Why are you asking me? And they reply, well, please, is there any way to fix this? Not realizing that graphics and cleanup used to be impossible to do without deep knowledge of these tools. It used to be impossible to do. Now I'm just showing you what can be done with artificial intelligence. Isn't that amazing? Isn't it a miracle? Isn't this a revolution in our line of work? Well, honestly, I don't know. For me, it's just something incredible and magical. Before, I couldn't just remove something like this, just take it out with a single click and make the shot look real. That was simply impossible. It was unreal. But now it's real. See for yourself. Our characters don't change. Still them, you see? It's a different story if artificial intelligence distorts things too much. Yeah, in that case, as authors and creators, we're not interested. But if we keep the essence and only change some external elements we don't need, then we can use this tool in our work. Let's move on. What else do we have here? Here's an aerial shot, right? That's also pretty common, isn't it? I don't know, maybe you're filming something like someone decided to sell a house, for example, right? Or maybe someone built a beautiful property and you need to remove some dumpsters that are nearby from the construction, right? Or the construction just finished, but there's a dumpster next to it that doesn't need to be there. And the client tells you, listen, we need to do something about this. It has to be removed because when the house goes on sale or this big building, that dumpster won't be there. Please remove it. What would you have said before? Well, that's impossible. Let's increase the video production budget. But now you tell them, no problem, I'll take care of it. Let's take a look. And for example, let's imagine that this is the trash, right? Although actually, it's a pretty nice house. We've got a nice house here. Right, yeah? Turning it on. Let's do it again. Let's imagine that this house is the trash we need to remove, okay? We see a beautiful aerial shot. And now, here's how it turned out. We removed that trash without any problems. Let's take a look at the comparison and a close-up. We can remove it absolutely easily. So here, we clearly see that artificial intelligence can help us. It can save us. And we don't even have to increase the client's budget. That's always unpleasant, right? When a client says, can we do this? Some good client you've been working with for a long time, for whom you've been making videos for years, asks you, I don't know, what's your name? Let's say your name is John. He says to you, John, can you remove this element? Is it possible or not? The client doesn't know how difficult it is. You tell him, of course, yes, of course. I'll remove it for free for you this time, but next time it'll cost a bit more. If you possess excellent cleanup skills, if you truly have that particular kind of skill set, if you genuinely know how to effectively edit video content using artificial intelligence, all while carefully preserving the original video's integrity. So yeah, here we go. Oops. Here we are removing it. Absolutely honestly, well, absolutely honestly. This is also a working tool. We'll use it too, right? It can save you in a huge number of different situations. Artificial intelligence makes us, it won't replace us. Guys, I ask you to calm down. Artificial intelligence will never replace content creators. As well, who would? Because we make the idea and the video whole. We know how composition, exposure, color, and so on work. And how can artificial intelligence create a completely authentic shot, even if, let's say, it technically can, right? Who will be responsible for deciding whether the complete video, the whole video you edited, is good or bad? Which specific shot should follow which specific shot? That's exactly what the creator will determine. So we are the final censors of the video. We look at the final result and say, yes, this is good. Let's release it. Even if we used artificial intelligence, our main value lies in our experience. What should you pay attention to? You should pay close attention when creating or removing any elements or objects from your shot. Always make sure that the light and shadow match, so that if you remove an object but its shadow or a hint of its shadow remains, that's a failure. For example, let's say there was a tall building here, right here, and you removed it, but you didn't remove its shadow. Yes, so here on the right is the shadow and you didn't remove the shadow. In my case, the shadow here is from the trees, so everything is fine. But if not, then it will be a mistake and the viewer will notice it. If the viewer notices it, then you haven't done your job properly. Keep this in mind when you're doing cleanup. Next, let's go back here, for example. You know, when you stick graphics onto a video, sometimes the graphics drift separately, right? That's called desynchronization. If you created graphics and there's even the slightest desynchronization, the viewer will instantly catch it too. The viewer will notice it right away, immediately. Maybe they won't realize it consciously, but they'll feel that something in this shot is off. I don't know what it is, but something here just isn't right. And this shot will kind of feel bad. Also, the color and style absolutely have to be consistent. If your original video has fine grain, yeah, that cinematic look or some kind of distortion or warping or anything else, then the exact same thing has to be present in the element you're adding or removing. Let's say you remove something here, like we did, right? We removed the photographer, but let's say this element here is completely different. Now there's grain here, yeah, that cinematic look, or maybe the lens distortion is a bit different here. In that case, the viewer picks up on it right away, and that shot will also be considered a bad take. Pay attention to these details as well. Basically, the viewer's brain expects patterns. It looks for simple, consistent details. If these small details are off in your video, then the viewer will sense that something's not right. They might not realize exactly what it is that's obvious. They might not be able to answer for themselves. What exactly is wrong with this video? But they'll still feel it, so be attentive to the details. Let's move on. What else do we have here? What other examples do we have? Here's a great example, right? A huge number. This is a super common mistake. Well, not a mistake, but a thing that happens. Right here in the background, there's a lighting fixture. By the way, I have almost the same one. Mine has a sturdier stand. So there's a lighting fixture here and, well, it ruins the focus. It draws unnecessary attention. It pulls focus away from our main characters. All right, can we remove it? Well, here's our original shot, right? Now let's see. And here's what we ended up with. Perfectly clean image. Look at how many details we've lost here, right? Let's take a look. So we can easily and cleanly remove some lighting fixtures because that's also a big problem. But that's more of a problem, for filmmakers, for those who work in cinema. They might have a small space, for example, and they can't remove all the lighting equipment from there. If we have a shot like this, right, not super dynamic, where there isn't any crazy movement, then it's a bit harder to remove it, right? But it's still possible. Let's take a look. So we've overlaid it, right? And let's zoom in on this area. Okay. And let's see how many details we've lost while editing this video with artificial intelligence. So this is how it was. Here, this is how it was, right? Let's take a look. I'll adjust it a little bit. This is how it was for us. So, I think the answer here is obvious. We also don't lose any details, and that's the most important thing. We don't lose anything. But try keying hair manually yourself. You know that's a problem. Keying hair, removing hair, cutting it out so that it looks decent. It's incredibly hard. You know that. As a creator, you understand this perfectly. But here, everything is clear and perfect. So, let's go ahead and confidently give this incredibly useful tool our enthusiastic stamp of approval. Because when it comes to removing unnecessary objects, yes, indeed, when you are meticulously shooting a close-up or even a much wider shot, some unwanted elements can quite easily and unexpectedly get into the frame. Break time equals 0.5s/. But here, of course, the videographer saw it, but he couldn't remove that device because he needed it right here. It was lighting the background and creating a certain mood in the shot, right? He couldn't take it out because he wanted to get that light outline here on the hands, and here, right? All right, let's remove this shot and take a look. Okay, we still have this beautiful outline here and here, but the device is gone. Magic? It's not magic, it's artificial intelligence. It's really simple. Tell me, isn't this tool really necessary for creators? This is a super tool, and it's really not hard to do this with artificial intelligence. Let's just say approved and move on. This example is also clear. We kept the detail, yes, right here in this frame, we preserved the detail, everything is sharp. This frame is also full HD, right? We preserved the detail and got a clean frame where the focus is on our main characters. Let's move on. Oh, perfect example. A perfect example again for photographers, right? We have an original frame like this, right? Look, here you can really see the huge pain point for wedding videographers all over the world. Look, this is the original frame we have. The photographer is there as the newlyweds come out and their guests greet them. This is a festive moment, it's very important. These are the first emotions, the freshest emotions, and yet the photographer blocks this shot. The newlyweds, of course, don't realize that, in a way, a disaster is happening right now. And the shot, the clarity of the shot is lost. What's in focus? So what's in focus here? We actually have 3 people in focus, not 2, right? 1 person, 2 people, and the third is the photographer. Again, not all photographers do this. And 99.9% of photographers don't do this because from the start they coordinate with the videographer like, hey, the couple is about to come out, right? The newlyweds are about to come out, so why don't you grab your 70 to 200 telephoto lens and shoot from the left side for me? Okay. The videographer says, I'll capture everything just fine. Yeah, the shot will be static, but both of us will get that decisive shot, right? That key moment. But here, apparently, they didn't coordinate. And what do we see? We see a mistake. And what will the bride say when she sees this shot? She'll look at it and say, oh, great, now me, my husband, and the photographer are immortalized in history forever. And how much money would it take? How much AI skill would you need to fix this? I honestly don't know how much, I really don't. But let's just compare now. It was like this, and now it's like this. Looks like my color correction disappeared somewhere, right? Let me do it like this. A quick color correction lesson. What am I doing here right now? Well, I'm focusing attention on the newlyweds, blurring the mask. If any colorists are watching this video, please don't throw stones at me. I'm not a professional, I do this too. Well, in terms of color correction, I'm not a professional. That's it, I toned down the edges a bit and focused the attention. 1, 2. Tell me, do you see a difference? Tell me, is this tool useful here? Let me match their scale so you can see. Let's take a look at this. Now I'll start cutting. Whether this is a useful tool or not, that's for you to decide. My job is to show you the potential of this tool. When you do the cleanup, and show this shot to the newlyweds, to the bride, you know what she'll say? Nothing. Because she won't even realize that it looked any different before. That's our mission. We're like superheroes who stay hidden. We're like Spider-Man, a hero without a name. We did a good deed, gave this shot to the newlyweds. They watched it, were happy, maybe even cried tears of joy, thinking about how unforgettable and amazing it was, without ever knowing that the shot originally looked like this. If you're a professional, if you're responsible for your work, you know it has to be this way. You know this perfectly well. I'm not going to tell you anything new here. You know that it's not good. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't happen. Photographers shouldn't block the newlyweds. Again, let me say it one more time. In 99% of cases, this can't happen because photographers are responsible people. But in 1% of cases, it does happen. And for that 1%, we need to have cleanup skills. I see some minor distortions, but guys, let's be honest. If we insert this little piece, if we insert this part, especially if we speed it up a bit, trim it a little if we speed it up, right? Let's set it to normal speed. No one will ever realize in their life that this was a cleanup. Beautiful emotions. Everything looks great. The newlyweds come out, they're happy, and they're in focus. Perfect. Mission accomplished. Let's move on. Here's what we get here. Well, this is an epic fail. This is a huge mistake. Right here, a woman at the most inconvenient moment. Right here, a woman decided to go somewhere for no apparent reason at the worst possible time and completely blocked the newlyweds during the fireworks. Well, that's really unfortunate. And the moment is lost. The moment is lost forever. What do you think the bride would say here, whose dress cost $15,000, who wanted, dreamed, and imagined how her husband would kiss her? There's fireworks in the background. The organizers planned everything out, right? A huge amount of money was focused on this moment to get the perfect shot. And this is what you end up with. And the most, you know what? You know what's the saddest part? That the one to blame won't be this woman. She won't be at fault. You'll be the one at fault because you didn't pick the right angle. And you know this perfectly well. It's you who didn't warn everyone else, saying, "Don't come here, I'm shooting here, I'm gonna get some final super cool shot from here. You have no right to come here, and as the responsible videographer, you should have said that. And this mistake is yours." And realizing this, you become aware of this failure. But let's see what we ended up with. It was like this, and now it's like this. When she sees this shot, the bride won't say anything to you. She'll say to you, "John." Let's say your name is John Viewer. She'll say to you, "John, thank you, you're a pro." Let's go from here. Watch. 1, 2. 1 and also 2. I want to emphasize that I have exactly 0 graphic design skills. I want to stress that because for me, I don't know about you, but for me, this is a whole new world, a new universe, a universe of crazy possibilities where I'm creating graphics, where I'm doing pure cleanup. The moment is saved. The moment is saved, and this skill is something a person, a creator, needs anywhere in the world. And that's obvious. Having this skill, you feel, at least I do, for example, I feel safe. If something happens to me, well, I know I can fix it in post, I have that option. Let's move on. Here, too, is a great example. I did this just as an example, yeah. Well, I get that, nothing terrible is happening here, right? Nothing terrible is happening here. A kid stepped on the dress, and that's it, nothing bad. But what if, at that moment, the shot being filmed was of the bride making her vow to spend her whole life with her husband, to be a faithful and wonderful wife, right? And the kid, well, obviously, kids are unpredictable, right? There's nothing you can do about it. No one's scolding the kid. He stepped on it, so what? It's no big deal. But it's kind of a big deal when it happens in your project, during your shoot, and the bride is saying some really important, heartfelt words at that moment. Then it becomes a problem. It was a problem. Let's see what we ended up with. It was like this, and now it's like this. Again, here we're talking a bit more about weddings, but we'll move on to something different soon. I'll show other examples next, but here we get a decent result. We're saving a shot that would have been considered lost before, without losing any details, and I want you to understand that clearly. We're recreating this part, we're making it dynamic. Here, I added a bit of color correction, right? We get this shot looking clean. You see what I mean? That's what applies to reportage shooting, event photography. But sometimes there are staged shoots as well. Cleanup lets us avoid having to reshoot scenes, right? If we realize that while shooting a staged video, a film, or something else, we notice during editing that some unwanted object got into the frame, we no longer need to reshoot anything. We don't have to bring back the cast, the crew, or anyone else. We just go ahead and save money, plain and simple. Obviously, if you're shooting a movie, you probably have a budget. But maybe you don't have a budget and you don't have a VFX specialist on your team. And in the bigger picture, it might actually be easier for you to just reshoot. Now you don't have to do that. You save money, time, and effort just by removing what you don't need from the shot. Look, a solid final project that you deliver really does boost your credibility as a professional. But if you did the cleanup yourself, barely learning VFX along the way, it's obvious. And that's exactly what the client gets. The client will notice and your credibility will take a hit. I think this is such an obvious and simple point that it hardly even needs to be said. If we deliver a clean, polished video to the client right away, they won't have any questions. But if there are mistakes here and there, and the cleanup is clearly noticeable, of course the client will be disappointed. And naturally, they'll start nitpicking every little detail. But if you deliver right away, they get that wow effect and say, "That's it, no questions. Thank you. Here's the second part of the payment for the video." And there are no more questions. Especially when you have a high volume of videos, delivering a quality product, a quality video, earns you trust as a professional who can handle anything. After all, we are videographers, not talking about cinema right now, but about videographers, yes, a bit more broadly. We are like universal soldiers of content creation, you could say. We need to know a bit of everything so we can solve tasks comprehensively. If you run into a problem during editing, and even if the client understands it, but you tell them, "I don't know how to do this. Look, it's not my fault. This mistake in the video isn't on me. I don't know how to do this. Sorry, I'd like to help you, but I just can't." Then the client will be like, "All right, I'll look for someone else to fix this mistake." But if you handle the entire video creation process yourself, it increases the client's trust in you as an expert. I think it's clear how this boosts trust in you as a professional, as someone who knows how to solve problems, as someone who can give advice on how to tackle issues in different areas of content creation. And then, of course, you simply become an indispensable professional, a specialist who can solve almost any problem. Now, let's break down the final package of shots, okay? I want to explain this using a case study. So, let me show you what we had. Here's the first shot, right, where the photographer is blocking this in the same way. He blocks the newlyweds, right? And the second shot. Yes, here it is. You might ask me, "Pasha, are these shots generated?" And I'll answer you, yes, I generated them. Let me explain why. For a very simple reason. Honestly, I'm telling you, I swear, I couldn't find these shots on the internet because it's a very rare thing for a photographer to so blatantly block the newlyweds. It's such a rare occurrence that it's practically impossible to find this kind of shot. That's why, right here, that's why I generated it myself. But after I meticulously generated this particular shot, I honestly and truly removed the photographer from it in exactly the same way I would have carefully removed the photographer from a real, existing, and tangible photo. I only used this specific generation tool to clearly show you what it actually looks like. Let's put it this way. Break time equals 0.5s/, to be precise. Could this actually happen in real life, in reality? Can a photographer block the shot like this? Yes, it can happen. And it actually happened to me during a shoot. Could this happen during a shoot? Let's be honest. Let's answer the question honestly. Yes, it can happen. Once again, in 99% out of 100 it can't. But in one case it can. And that 1%, I don't know about you, but personally, it's never let me sleep easy. If it can happen to me, I'm not protected from it. And the responsibility for that is on me, right? It doesn't matter that the photographer blocked your shot. Yeah, right here, the photographer blocked the shot, took some great photos, and delivered them to the bride. The bride is happy, yeah, and everything's fine. And you delivered the video. So what? This is what you delivered as the video. And what then? What happens next? Well, the bride probably won't say anything to you. She'll just say something like, "Well, okay, the photos are done, but I don't know about you, but I would tell myself inside, it shouldn't be like this, it shouldn't be like this. So how should it be? It should be like this." Here comes the photographer. I pause the frame and delete him. So I delete him and get a shot like this. I would do exactly the same thing on a real live shot, yeah, on an actual wedding shot. Second frame. One like this, right? And now let's take a look. I delete him and let's look at the second one. Completely saved shot. As the author and content creator, I'm satisfied. My inner creative ego is fulfilled and I tell myself, yes, thank you for being able to do this. I get a clean shot, yeah, but I want to add something, right? A little surprise. Look, with just these 2 frames, yeah, 2 corrected frames. Let me do it like this here. 1, 2. So originally we had 2 frames like this. 1 ruined frame, 2 ruined frames. I turned them into 1 great frame, 2 great frames. Right? What do I do next? I realized that this is way too little to create a complete story, a beautiful story with different shots. What do I do next? Using this wide shot, I generate a new frame. With the help of a neural network, I create this image. Then, using the neural network, I create a close-up, a macro shot. First like this, then I zoom in on it. What's the problem here that I missed when creating this photo? The nails. People pointed out in the comments about these issues that the nails look unnatural. Yeah, they're unnatural, I'll be honest, I just overlooked it. Guys, I'm not a machine, I make mistakes too. I'm not a neural network. I have the right to make mistakes. I missed it a little bit. So, having 2 ruined shots like this one, let me zoom in a bit so you can see it better. Having 2 ruined shots like this one and this one, yeah, in real life, let's say I take them 1, 2, generate a few new angles, a wide aerial shot and a close-up, and from all of that, I edit a completely different video. Once again, it was like this, and now it's like this. You get that it's like night and day, right? These are completely different things, right? And this, they're in different leagues. I get it. Everyone has their own abilities when it comes to making videos. But if you can do the second one, you sure as hell can do the first one, right? That means you're a creator on a whole other level. You've seen the before and after examples of cleanup, the examples of removing unnecessary elements from a shot before and after. If you're really interested in this topic, if you want to fully dive into artificial intelligence and, as a result, boost your power as a creator, take your video making to the next level, please check out my Thinkific. There's a link in the description. There, I have a huge course for video creators all about artificial intelligence. What I just showed you is only a small part of what you can create with artificial intelligence. These are truly unimaginable possibilities that are opening up before us right now. Also, make sure to subscribe to my Discord. That's where the whole crew hangs out, where I post new examples, new discoveries, and where I answer questions. It's like a family there. It's our community. It's called Nirosity. Please come join us. And of course, follow me on all my other social media too. I'd be happy to keep connecting with you all. We've figured out just how effective this tool is, especially when it comes to using artificial intelligence. Of course, if someone already has VFX skills, this problem doesn't really apply to them. Although I'll be honest, I don't know, I've never done VFX, and I mean that sincerely. As a content creator, I always wanted to have this superpower, to change space and reality however I want. And now I've got that superpower. In the next video, we'll talk about a super important, super powerful topic. Adding things. We're here. Adding details to video. Before, we were removing things, but now, in the next video, we'll figure out how to add something to a video. For example, how to change the background, how to change a specific detail, how to change, makeup, how to change a piece of clothing, or how to make the background global. If we have an empty background, just greenery as a background, how can we build an entire castle there, or create a historical journey? That's exactly what we'll be covering next. Be sure to follow me on all my social media and subscribe to this channel. I'll be happy to keep telling you more about artificial intelligence. See you in the next video.